FAA closes El Paso airspace, citing alleged cartel drone activity, and then reversed the decision within hours. Was it really about the drones or something else? San Antonio ICE video goes viral. A video appearing to show ICE agents entering a home without producing a warrant spreads quickly across the country. What actually happened here, and what does the law require before agents go into a home? And Rice University students stacking ICE activity with a new heat map, the technology that allows them to find post-incident reports from all over the country, and how they got involved with the project. I'm Yami Virgin in San Antonio, Texas for Sinclair Broadcasting, and another edition of Immigration Crisis, the fight for the southern border.
Well, a lot of people are shocked to find out that all flights both in and out of El Paso are grounded.
Tonight we begin in West Texas. The FAA shut down airspace over El Paso early Wednesday morning before the sun even came up, citing alleged cartel drone activity, and then reversed that decision just hours later.
The airspace over El Paso, Texas is now open after an unprecedented move in modern times.
You wake up in the morning and they're telling you, oh, don't bother going in, it's closed. And I'm like, how could a whole airport be closed?
Late Tuesday, the FAA abruptly issued a flight restriction that immediately grounded all flights up to 18,000 feet around the city for 10 days. The pause was due to, quote, special security reasons, according to the FAA's website, and it effectively shut down the El Paso International Airport.
This unnecessary decision has caused chaos and confusion.
El Paso's mayor calling the surprise closure of his city's airspace unacceptable.
Medical evacuation flights were forced to divert to Las Cruces. All aviation operations were grounded, including emergency flights. This was a major and unnecessary disruption.
Calls for clarification over the airspace closure are mounting. Multiple sources say a Pentagon plan to use a high-energy counter-drone laser without having coordinated with the FAA about potential risks to civilian flights prompted the shutdown.
Members of Congress should be briefed on it, and it's our job to find out if this is routine training or, we've seen these guys go around what they're supposed to do. That's our job, is to ask questions.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration says a Mexican cartel drone crossed into U.S. airspace, triggering the restriction. Cartel drones are often spotted near the border, but historically don't cause airspace closures.
A lot of questions left unanswered, and the lack of communication that left an entire city's airport shut down. Now from El Paso to San Antonio, viral video recorded by homeowners showing ICE officers with enforcement removal operations, or ERO, going into their home without showing a warrant. Federal authorities say they were searching for what they described as a criminal undocumented fugitive with 3 prior arrests. Here's the full video, and we must warn you, it's kind of difficult to listen to.
This other guy that's trying to help.
But when we started fact-checking through records available to the media, we could not find the arrest, charges, or any indictments connected to Gonzalo Mejia Ortega, the person they were allegedly looking for. Our reporter Jordan Elder and I worked through state and federal court records to verify the claims. Jordan now has what we found.
We've heard federal officials say it over and over. ICE is going after criminals. But when we looked into the man agents chased into a San Antonio home last week, we found some concerning reports, but no criminal charges, not just in Bexar County, but in a nationwide database.
Where is he?
The Department of Homeland Security now saying these agents entered a San Antonio home looking for Gonzalo Mejia Ortega. They say he ran in here after running from a traffic stop. Other residents in the house tell Univision this left them traumatized.
El muchacho se encerró en el cuarto y como quiera, hasta allá lo fueron a buscar.
In a statement Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security says they had a warrant for Ortega's arrest because he illegally re-entered the country. They also say Ortega has 3 previous arrests for domestic assault. San Antonio police have no record of Ortega being arrested or charged here. In a February 2025 incident, a woman reported Ortega showing up in a parking lot wanting to take his children for the day. She says he appeared to be intoxicated and pushed her to try to get to the car door. Ortega left before police arrived. In August 2025, a woman found a tracking device on her car and told police Ortega put it there without her consent. Again, no arrests were made in either case. We asked DHS again, what jurisdiction or jurisdictions did these 3 assault arrests take place in? A DHS spokesperson says they'll share updates when they have more information available.
So the reality of these situations often does not match what the administration is claiming is true about these people. And we're seeing that not only in the anecdotes, but also in the statistics.
As officers were inside the house, DHS says Ortega escaped through a window and is still on the run. Others inside the home are cleaning up the damage.
Quedarme a otro lado porque aquí no me siento segura para nada.
ICE says they're still pursuing Ortega along with the person they say interfered with the arrest in this video.
From enforcement on the ground in Texas to tracking down what is going on nationwide, a student group at Rice University in Houston has created what they call ICE Heat Map, documenting enforcement activity by city across the United States with linked news reports. I spoke with a young man who started this entire project and what his motivation is. All right, Jack Vu. So you're a student at Rice University, and tell me about this immigration tracker that you guys are doing.
Yeah, so that's something, this is something we started up in June of last year. It's a website that allows you to look at ICE activity from all across the country. It surfaces local news and national news articles. They're geotagged, so you can go in and see what's happening in Los Angeles and in Houston and in Dallas and Minneapolis. You can see what's happening at detention centers, number of open immigration cases, things like that.
That's people that don't know, can you explain geotag for people that may be like, what does that mean?
You can put it on a map. You know, that's all it means. There's a location attached to the article.
So it's pretty easy. So the person goes to your website.
That's
and
right.
they would go over the map area. And what does it look like when they get in there?
So there are these sort of heat map clusters that you can see scattered across the U.S. Those correspond with recent activity. So if I look at Minneapolis, there's a big red dot. If I hover my cursor over that dot, then on the left side of the page you can see all of these different articles related to this ICE arrest or that ICE arrest or this protest, this shooting, all of these different things. That's the core of the website.
How did you guys get interested in doing this?
Yeah, so I'm from Houston. In high school, I would do a lot of volunteering across the city, especially like in Southeast Houston, which happens to be like a very, very Hispanic area. So since my sophomore year of high school, I was doing these weekly classes, and then my junior year twice a week. And one of these was at an apartment complex in Southeast Houston in like the Lawndale Wayside area, if you're familiar. And I remember in April of last year, the students stopped showing up. And this was because of an ICE raid that had happened at the apartment complex that really, really like terrified the rest of the residents to the point where they wouldn't go to school. They wouldn't come to our class. And so we felt, I felt at least like very personally tied to the issue. And so a few weeks later, we started up IceMap.
So how long has this been going on then? So since last year, you've had this map?
Yeah, since last June, so 7 months, I guess, 8 months.
Okay. How do you hope for this to help enlighten people as to what's really going on out there?
Yeah, I guess there are a couple things going on there. So, one, it makes the issue closer to home. Uh, being in Houston, uh, there are certain areas of Houston that, feel very affected. Like you see it on the street, it's happening. Um, but in some other ones that's not the case. And then this is true of other areas across the country. There are a lot of people who don't, on a first-hand level, see what's happening. But what IceMap allows you to do is see that, yeah, this is actually happening near you. And you can go see exactly what is happening near you. So uh, that's one, is that the map can make the issue feel very personal, which it is and which it should be. And then two, uh, there is a more deliberate effort to sort of lie and downplay what ICE is doing. The reality is that they're running around with masked men, and sometimes they're killing people. And if you happen not to be like especially tuned in, you can miss that easily because there are people who are putting time and effort into hiding that. And IceMap doesn't hide that. IceMap lets you read these articles and then see see ICE for who they are and see what they're doing in reality. I'll note that we don't filter which sites come in and which don't. We judge the articles just on if they're relevant to the activity at all. If they are, we show them. And it turns out that the reality is sort of in our favor. And so that's what we're trying to do with IceMap.
So how do these articles update? How often is it updated? How does it work?
Yeah, so we have these scrapers running on a schedule. So we get in all of these articles and then we funnel them into this sort of data pipeline to filter them based on their relevance to ICE activity and then their sort of like sufficiency to place on a map. Like, can we be fairly confident that this article we're putting in Houston, Texas happened in Houston, Texas? And, can we be sure that they're talking about, an ICE arrest and not like ice cream, something like that? That's sort of a silly example, but there's some nuance there.
Yeah, because even though you have a scraper on there, you still have to verify. You still need a human to double check the work that the scraper did.
You don't need a human to double check, but you do need to double check.
Yeah. All right. So the old person still double checks because sometimes I do get stuff that I'm like, I do use the scrapers, but I think it's fascinating that you guys are doing this out of Rice University. What's a reaction that you've gotten? Have you been doing a lot of interviews?
Yeah, I mean, I interviewed with the school paper. Yeah, Rice, I mean, we're in the middle of it all, right? Like, Texas, red state, but Houston's a blue city. Abbott sent ICE in here a while ago, or I guess not Abbott directly, but ICE is in here. We get a ton of immigrants from the southern border. Houston's not, it's not the central topic of discussion, at least not right now, but it is very, very personally relevant here. And I think we all sort of feel that there's a lot of motivation among the people here. I think it's great.
Talk to me about being in college right now and seeing all of this going on in the US and you're doing something so
Yeah.
that people can follow up what's going on outside of just the Houston area. For you to be your age, be in college, and see what's happening, how does that make you feel?
Um, so I guess two parts, like one being in college, uh, I think something like this would sort of really like a college student is where that's where it would come. Uh, that's where you get people with, free time and some risk appetite. Uh, and so, you know, in that sense, I guess I didn't really think of it another way. I didn't think this was like something that would have been left to an older person. Um, I kind of they're busy, they gotta they gotta pay for bills and things like that. Um,
I think it's interesting that it's coming out of a university. You have a lot of think tanks that do this stuff, but they all worry about their funding. I mean, you guys, how much money is it costing you to do this?
uh, yeah, a lot more now, a lot more now. Um, we've gotten a lot of traffic. Uh, yeah,
What is
what
your traffic like? What's your traffic like?
we get a few 100,000 visitors a day.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I think yeah, these think tanks, they're doing a good work, a lot of them, but they have long-term incentives and things that would restrict them from doing stuff like that. They work with the federal government all the time. They need money from them. They have they're constrained by things that don't constrain me personally. So I'm privileged in a way, you know. Um I don't need money from them. I just need to follow the law, and we're following the law. Um,
Did you have to get an advisor on campus to do this? Are there any old people helping you right now with this project?
um, yeah, I've got some lawyers in my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With that,
What don't worry. What's the reaction on campus to you guys doing this?
the article in the school paper was really huge. It was on the cover. It was pretty cool. Uh, that that was really well taken. My professors saw the article and stuff like that. Um, so I mean, I think overall well received. At least on campus, there wasn't really much negative attention. I think those who sort of read the article and then understand what IceMap actually does are sort of less angry at it. Uh, you know, I guess one misconception is that the purpose of IceMap would be to sort of hinder law enforcement activity. That's not true. We don't claim to do that, nor could you actually use IceMap for that.
Our thanks to the students at Rice University. That is all for this week. For Sinclair Broadcasting in San Antonio, Texas, I'm Yami Virgin. This has been another edition of Immigration Crisis, the fight for the southern border, where we continue to be the eyes and ears of the southern border.